Evening, everybody. Give it a minute or two, just let everybody sign in. How you Adam? Feel free to give me a little wave as well. Sophia. Even off. Solid turnout so far. I was interested to see how many people we might actually get. It's my first Instagram live, so hopefully it goes well enough anyway. Give us a winner for tonight, get me out of trouble. I haven't even looked at any race cards today, to be honest. I saw a bit of extra actually earlier on, but that was about it. I'm a jumps man, unfortunately. I'm not into the flat as much as I maybe should. Just to say, actually, if you do have any questions as we go along, I find it very hard to multitask, so probably save them to the end, and we'll have 2 or 3 minutes hopefully to answer a few questions then. I think we'll start. We've got a nice crowd joined on, so thank you everybody for signing in. For those of you who might have missed it yesterday, my name is Aodhagan Conlon, and I provide sports psychology support to the members of the Professional Jockeys Association. But why I'm on here this evening is I'm doing a PhD at the University of Bath, and I'm looking at how breathing techniques influence stress responses and performance under pressure. So obviously World Mental Health Day is coming up on Saturday, and I think it's very useful to kind of get tips and advice from different people in different domains, different areas, about how you can improve your physical and your psychological well-being. And I suppose breathing techniques are sort of a fashion recently, but of course the benefits of breathing techniques have been going on a long time, I suppose, in terms of yoga, meditation, etc. I suppose just nowadays we have the sort of technology and the research to understand a lot more what's actually happening behind the scenes, and why that breathing technique is beneficial. So I think to understand why breathing works, we have to understand our physiology. So it's a little bit of a physiology lesson for the first couple of minutes. But we're going to start off with the nervous system. So basically the nervous system runs everything that our body does, from muscle movement, from our digestion, our heartbeat. The nervous system is like the electricity grid, sends all the connections, sends the signals, keeps us living, basically all our sort of unconscious processes that we don't even think about. So the nervous system is broken into 2 parts mainly. So the first part on one side is called the sympathetic system, and on the other side it's the parasympathetic system. So the sympathetic system, you might have heard it also referred to as the fight or flight system. So both of these systems are very important. They've kept us alive for thousands and thousands of years, but the important thing is the context that they're used in. So the sympathetic system is generally used when we feel stressed or when we feel threatened. And physiologically what happens when we're sort of sympathetically aroused, things like our heart rate goes up, our blood pressure, our blood sugar goes up, we get some certain stress responses. One called cortisol, again, increases sugar content in our blood, and that's all designed to fight off a stressor. So imagine you're sitting in the kitchen having your tea, all of a sudden a bear walks in, your sympathetic system is going to go through the roof. It's going to give you the energy to go and fight that bear. In terms of psychology, what that does, it does increase your kind of anxiety. Obviously you need to be sort of awake and aware because there's a threat there, but it can have a sort of negative impact on things like your decision making, your memory, your reaction times actually slow down when you get that a little bit too much sympathetic activation. But useful when you're trying to fight that bear off. A couple of other things when you are sympathetically aroused, your digestive system shuts down and your immune function shuts down for a period of time. So anybody who's ever had butterflies, all that feeling is blood leaving your intestines, leaving your stomach tract, going to muscles where it's needed to be active if it's in that sort of fight or flight state. So that's sort of being stressed. There's a big bear in the kitchen. You want to have all that energy to fight that bear. Hopefully that makes sense. So then on the other side of the nervous system, we have the parasympathetic system, as I said. So this is also known as the rest digest system. So as the name probably, as you guessed, when this system is a little bit more dominant, your digestive system is working well, your immune function, your cell recovery, cell repair, etc. Everything that your body needs to kind of regenerate and recuperate. In terms of psychology, when you're that parasympathetic dominated, your anxiety is obviously decreased. You have increased feelings of relaxation, better decision making, better attention, better memory. So overall, we want to be kind of in that parasympathetic state more often than not, unless there's a major stressor in the environment. Now, in saying that, obviously, we live in a very complicated world with the Rona's going around, people struggling maybe with work or with relationships. So we have a lot of stress in our lives, but our body doesn't really understand what is kind of stressful and what is life-threatening. So anytime we feel something is threatening, our body just goes to level 5, red alert. It's like, I suppose, our brain is working on iOS 12 or 13 and our body is a Nokia 3310, and our body doesn't quite get that there's social reasons for things, feeling stressed or whatever. But yeah, as I said, it goes red alert, and all those sort of sympathetic activation sort of responses that I've said happens. So we want to be able to counteract that and get our body back into sort of back into balance and back centered. So how does breathing fit into all of that? Well, very generally speaking, when your breathing rate gets quicker, you become more sympathetically aroused, and when your breathing rate slows down, you become more parasympathetically aroused. So understanding that is quite interesting actually, because we have control over our breathing rate, we can actually control our nervous system to a small degree, and change our physiology and actually change our psychology, which I think is pretty cool. So I want everybody just to take a second and take a big deep breath. Okay, so for those of you who went like this, that's not what we want to do. So it's a very common thing when you say to people, take a big deep breath, automatically their mouth opens and they're breathing through their chest. So a couple of things. We're going to talk about what is the most efficient, what's the best way to breathe on a sort of regular, sustainable basis. First thing is we need to close our mouths. So our mouths should only be open if we're speaking or we're eating. So when you breathe through our nose, there's a couple of really key things happen. And when we breathe through our nose, it obviously filters the air. So there's always the snot and the hair that's in our nose, but it filters out all the kind of particles, all the bacteria, to a large extent. So getting cleaner air straight away. It also warms the air, so it makes it easier for the lungs to process the air that gets taken in, and it also humidifies the air as well. So again, it filters and cleans up that air so much, gets it in a really good state, so then when it goes into our lungs, it can be just absorbed as efficiently as possible. It's like putting really good petrol into your car. Another thing that's really interesting when you breathe through your nose is you've got little cavities in your nose that release a molecule called nitric oxide. Now, not nitrous oxide, that's the stuff in the Fast and the Furious, and I don't recommend inhaling that. But the nitric oxide, it's a little molecule which is a vasodilator, and that simply means it expands your blood vessels. So again, it increases the surface area where the oxygen can be absorbed. So a really quick and easy way to increase the efficiency of the breathing that you take in is just breathe through your nose. Second thing I want to talk about is the diaphragm. So again, when I told you to take a deep breath, it was all through the chest. Your chest came up and you probably couldn't get an awful lot of air in. So what a lot of the research is suggesting that we do, and this goes back to a lot of yoga and a lot of techniques down through the years, thousands of years, but to breathe through the diaphragm or breathe through the belly. So you can just about see my hand here. But the diaphragm is a muscle that sits just above your stomach and just below your lungs. So what that does when you breathe through it, it actually pulls your lungs down and it pulls them out. Again, it increases the surface area for that air to be kind of dragged into and used and absorbed. And it's what we're designed to do. We're working with our own body's mechanics more efficiently. So a good way I've taught kind of people who maybe haven't taken much notice about where they're breathing from, and I try to direct them to breathe through their stomach, is literally if you put your hand across your stomach, and as you inhale, you're trying to push it out, and as you exhale, then it should kind of come back in. But there's a real sort of control to it. So it's like you're engaging your core with it. So it's not kind of like you're inhale really quick and then it falls out. It has to be nice and paced. So you kind of, if your hand is on your belly, you're kind of like, so it's nice and controlled. Again, because you're breathing through here, you're pulling your lungs down, you're actually creating more space, and on average I think you get about 30% more air volume when you breathe through your diaphragm rather than your chest. So again, you're just being more efficient with each breath you take. So you're getting more oxygen, you're getting more air in, it's cleaner. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about in this part is the pacings. The pacing is really important. So as I said, the quicker you breathe, the more the sympathetic system goes up. So what's the ideal breathing rate to maybe sit at? Well, generally we breathe between 14 and 20 breaths per minute when we're just kind of sitting around and not doing a whole pile. So that's actually quite quick. So we have a lot of research that suggests there is a sort of a sweet spot for everybody between 4.5 breaths per minute and 6.5 breaths per minute to bring us back into sync. So if we're talking about psychological and physiological well-being, we're trying to hit that little nice kind of range between 4.5 and 6.5 breaths. Generally, we kind of instruct people to breathe at 6 breaths per minute. For this little technique, that's going to look like a 5-second inhale and a 5-second exhale. So as I've said, it wants to be nice and rhythmical, and kind of because it's an equal inhale and equal exhale balance, it kind of brings us back into sync. It's not necessarily a relaxation technique per se, but some people feel relaxed after it. Some people feel a bit more focused after it. Some people feel a bit more energized after it. And I suppose it's a good time to kind of say that the principles that I've kind of come across and I'm trying to tell everybody this evening, it's not a one-size-fit-all method by any stretch of imagination. I think it's important that you understand the basics behind it. And then you kind of use it to suit yourself. So some people might be able to inhale for a little bit less and exhale a little bit longer. Whatever basically works for you. There is science to it, but there's no science to it when you're doing it yourself. So if it works for you and you're breathing a little bit quicker or a little bit slower than the 6 breaths per minute, that's absolutely fine. Ideally, we probably want to be coming under 10 breaths per minute. I think that's a good kind of place to kind of sit at as often as you can. So what I might do now is maybe do a little instruction for maybe 1 minute. I do have a 5-minute video on my page on the breath psych. It's all guided for 5 minutes. Some people prefer to kind of get it themselves. Some people like kind of listening to a voice to guide them through it. So I might do it just for 1 minute, which gives you an idea. Generally, you'd have to do it for over and above 5 minutes to really feel the benefits of it. And to get the best benefits of it, you want to be doing it about 20 minutes once a day. I obviously know everybody's very busy and 20 minutes is a long time to do nothing. But breathe, but maybe that sort of 5 minutes, you can kind of eke that out somewhere, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's before you go to bed, whether it's sitting on the toilet, whatever it is. I'm sure you can kind of get 5 minutes out of your day just to set everything back, reduce your feelings of anxiety, increase feelings of relaxation, reduce your heart rate, etc. It's a really simple, straightforward way of improving your well-being. So if everybody's ready, I'll count you through it. So remember, we're going to be breathing through our diaphragm. our mouth is going to be closed, and I'll count the pacing, so you don't have to worry about the pacing. I'll say inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll do that for about a minute. So if everybody wants to exhale and then inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that was just a minute, so hopefully that kind of gives you an idea. If it took a little bit of time to kind of get there, you didn't quite get the inhale right or the exhale right, that's perfectly fine. It does take a little bit of practice. Some people get it quite quickly, other people, it's quite a weird kind of, especially inhale, you have to really slow that down, and it all comes to kind of your diaphragm. If you can control that, you can kind of pace yourself better. So a little bit of practice, and I'm sure you'll pick it up fine. So that was just a very, very brief overview of the physiology and a little technique. Hopefully it was interesting. If you have any questions, fire them in. I did have a question earlier on, a couple of questions, one about breathing techniques and sleep. And was there any specific sort of techniques that are useful to get you off to sleep? First of all, sleep is a very sort of complicated topic, and it's actually a skill that you really have to work at to get good at. So there's lots of things apart from the breathing that you need to kind of be conscious of in terms of your caffeine. So you shouldn't really be drinking coffee after 3 o'clock. Your fluid intake, so that you're not getting up halfway through the night going to the bathroom. Good technique is having a warm shower before bed, because your brain actually has to cool about, I think it's like half a degree to actually switch off and fall asleep. So when you have a warm shower, your external kind of skin is warmed up, so then your body cools your core temperature to cool that down. So that's quite useful, and that's obviously it's useful to keep your room cool before you go into it when you go to sleep. But obviously to help you sleep, I have used a 4-second inhale and a 6-second exhale technique. The reason why it's slightly tilted before to the exhale, so for the 6 seconds, is when you exhale, your heart rate slows. So again, it's trying to increase those feelings of relaxation quite pronounced, or put more kind of emphasis on them, but you're still breathing at that 6 breaths per minute. So that's the breathing and sleep. And another one was about breathing in apps, and whether there's any apps that I would suggest for mental well-being. I don't know, I haven't used any sort of mental well-being ones. I have used Shift State, which is a really, really good app, backed by a lot of research. And they've got like relaxation ones, focus ones, lots of different techniques. So that's really good. I've kind of tried to get away from as many apps as I can, because I spend half my life on Instagram anyway, it seems, and I've got emails and everything. So what I actually like about the breathing is, for me anyway, I like to kind of sit somewhere quiet and just focus on that counting myself. Again, it gives you something to sort of focus on, controls your kind of, it's what mindfulness is about basically, is that focused attention. You're trying to block out all other stimulus, but yeah, really focusing on, engaging your core and the counting. I found that as sort of therapeutic in itself, but some people prefer to listen to music, or to prefer to be kind of counted through it in terms of that sort of instruction as well. But yeah, so Shift State definitely is the one backed by the best research, I feel. But there's loads of mental wellbeing apps. I'm sure there's plenty of free ones as well. If you want to go on the App Store or wherever you get your apps. So one in from Adam. I've just answered that. About the apps. And then Evolve Injury Psych. Where can we find all your breathing techniques from? Is it on your IG page? Yeah, so my Instagram page is the Breath Psych. So I should be on Racing Welfare's page somewhere in that past couple of posts. But yeah, I have videos starting off with that, sort of giving a bit more background behind nasal breathing, and then different techniques for different things. So increasing your what is the kind of foundation for mindfulness. That's one of our sort of that's one of my, I think it's on the breath hole as one. So if you are interested in that mindfulness aspect of it, have a click on my page and look for breath holes, and that's the video there. There's the 4x6 one, which increases feelings of relaxation a little bit more. There is, as I said, the guided instruction 5x5x5. So it's 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale for 5 minutes. All else is on there, and I'm a big sports fan as well, obviously. So I've got lots of kind of inspirational stuff, I think, from sport as well. But yeah, it's all on those videos if you want to have a flick through them. I will look about refreshing the whole feed, so I'll kind of do another loop with all these breathing techniques, just so they're higher up on the page. Top Tom, do you do one-to-ones with people? I do, yeah. So I have used these techniques, maybe not in isolation as a breathing coach, because I don't think I can call myself that yet. But as a sports psychologist, I've used plenty of these techniques, just helping with reducing anxiety. For example, one of the techniques that I do with one of my jockeys is we get her, she feels a little bit anxious before she goes out to ride, but she's a very, very good rider once she gets out there. But to sort of reduce those feelings of that pre-performance anxiety before she goes out to ride, we get her to take a big inhale in and then to hum. So it exhale for as long as she can, and when you hum, it just slows down that breathing a little bit, or that exhale a little bit more, decreases your heart rate, and then decreases anxiety, and she finds that very, very helpful. So yeah, not kind of breathing specific, but we certainly incorporate that into how best to help jockeys or athletes perform. Any other questions from anybody? No, I rambled on for long enough. Well, look, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, please feel free to send me a message on the Breath Psych. Hopefully this was useful, and yeah, if I might do another one at some point on my own page or back in Racing Welfare, but yeah, hopefully ahead of asking me, what do you think to meditations? So I think of meditations, I struggle with them. I've never been through like a properly instructed one, I suppose, so I can't give an honest answer because I haven't tried it properly. But I find my meditation and other things. So yeah, I try to learn. I'm trying to learn the guitar as well. I don't know whether that's actually meditation or frustration, but that kind of gets me out of a funk that I'm in. But anyway, yeah, I'll stop talking now. But said, check out my page. There's loads of stuff there, and if you want me to, if you want to message me directly, if you have any other questions, please feel free to do so. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and have a nice evening. Bye bye.